so low that I refused to take any of their food because they were just barely getting by. But boy, were those people nice.
Mhm. You know what I thought was interesting in that part, Captain Vantine? I noticed the big difference from the time you were a cadet. You were only getting, what, $50 a month in there, but then by the time you got to third mate, you were like $218 a month.
Well, when I first went to Sheepshead Bay, I got $50 a month, but as a cadet, I got $62.50. That was a big raise.
Okay.
And and as I recall, when we were in the war zones, that was raised to $85 a month, from $62.50 up to $85. So I was getting $85 a month when I was on ships, but then on my first third mate's job, I was getting $214 a month. So
interesting.
That was. But there's been a lot of inflation since then.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been. I think they would get anyone at $218 a month nowadays. But anyway, I wanted you to tell me, why did you purchase? You said in your book that I purchased for about $120 a British Hussein brand sextant. What made you do that?
Yeah. Well, sextant is what you use to take nautical, astronomical observations of sea to get a line of position from the sun or from the stars when dusk and dawn, when you can see both the stars and the horizon, or the moon, or their daytime Venus is also usually available, and the moon.
Right. But the ship
anyway,
already has theirs. That's why I was curious why you did that.
Well, actually, the American sextants that were American-made sextants that available at that time weren't very good. And, of course, the one that owned by the ship, nobody really took good care of it because it wasn't owned by anybody. And the British have a great nautical tradition, and their sextants were pretty good. But later on, when after the war, I was able to get a German sextant, which is even better than the British. And
why do you think that?
Well, because
why do you think the Germans
much better.
Well,
they're good. They're good. They're good at optics and instruments as a rule, and their sextants were better than the British. So after the war, I got a German. They had ground off the swastika. It was one that had been used in the German Navy, I presume, and they had ground the swastika off the rotating arm there, but otherwise it was just as good as new, with the great optics and so that's what I used for the rest of my career.
Very interesting. Well, I have them too, so I was very curious. That caught my eye and attention because yes, I think when you're looking, whether it's land or some of the astronomy areas, it's the perfect tool. It really is, and I still use one today. So.
Yeah, I wish I'd kept mine. When I quit going to sea, I gave it or sold it to somebody. I don't remember, but of course they're obsolete now. You push a button and get your position from the satellites. I'm amazed when I drive my car. I can see what direction I'm headed and what street I'm on. And boy, if we'd had that, sometimes crossing the ocean back in my sailing days, we would maybe go a week before. I mean, if you're in stormy weather, you can't get any observations, and you have to go by what we call dead reckoning. As your estimated course made good speed. And if you're in stormy weather, that's hard to figure that accurately. And sometimes you go a week or so without a line of position, and you're just lucky to find out where you're going.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so go ahead.
So nowadays you just push a button day and night, any kind of weather, and find your exact position. That's really a great. I used to spend probably 3 hours every day navigating when I was going to sea, and now you just push a button and immediately get your position. Boy, that's a great advantage nowadays that we didn't have when I was sailing.
Yes, it is. Technology certainly has advanced us forward. So, back to Voyage 1. Now, you when you were in New York, I was really interested in the cargo that you had to unload.
Yes,
all that Scotch whiskey. That was important cargo.
They called it reverse Lend-Lease. We loaded Scotch whiskey to bring back to New York. In Liverpool, the stevedores, they wanted to get a free drink out of it, so they would lift a pallet load up several feet off the deck and then drop it hard, so they'd break a bottle or two inside, and then they'd lift it back up and catch the drippings in their cups. And that was good pilferage because there was nothing, no seals broken, and all the cargo was still there, from what you could see on the outside. But when we got to New York, the stevedores weren't so cautious about not having any pilferage show. They were openly stealing the cases, and nobody was in authority was taking any meaningful steps to stop it. I was watching a cargo, and I was, no, don't do that. And they'd scowl at me and go on and do it. And that was there was going to be missing cases there. I hope the ones that they stole were the ones that were already broken, but I don't know whether that happened or not.
Right. It sounds like you were a little outnumbered there too. So, it's not surprising you'd have to just kind of let that go. But so the war's winding down at this point, and you want to be a chemical engineer. What did you do?
Well, as soon as we got back from that voyage, it was obvious the war was ending, and so I signed off that ship, and I didn't know it, but I was supposed to be frozen in the occupation. But I didn't know that I was breaking the law, I guess. But anyway, I took a train home to Missouri and started shopping for college. I took my Kings Point transcript to my high school principal and showed that to him. I was first in the class scholastically and all that. And so he was impressed enough, he was able to get me a high school diploma. And with that, I was able to get into Missouri School of Mines in Rolla, Missouri. But and I got enrolled, and I attended 2 semesters there. I took 23 and 21 hours, semester hours, made the dean's list. But the Merchant Marine did not get any GI Bill of Rights benefits, so I was having to pay my own expenses. And I decided at the end of that first year, well, I can go to sea in the summer and make enough money for the next semester. And so I after that first year, I caught a train to New Orleans and went up to Lykes Brothers Steamship Company, where I'd worked as a cadet, and they gave me an acting second mate's job based on my Kings Point background and the letter of recommendation from my first captain. And so I sailed on that voyage as acting second mate, and unfortunately we didn't get back in time for me to go back to college, and so one thing led to another, and I never did get back. So I never did finish my education as a chemical engineer.
Well, you certainly got
an education. Quite different.
well, you certainly got an education with the rest of your career as it moves forward. But Captain Vantine, that's a perfect point to end our show on, even though we're not going to get to the second voyage. We will pick it up on your next international radio interview. And because we have only just a couple of minutes here, and I want to make sure that everyone hears where they can go to get more information. Internationalradiotours.org has information on their website about Captain Vantine and Some Nautical Tales, the radio tour itself. But Captain Vantine also has a beautiful website, and I encourage people to take a look at it. There are some really nice pictures of him as a young man, a cadet, and some other previews of the books also of his book will also be up there. And you can go to some-nautical-tales.com. So that it's, I encourage everyone to take a look at that. Also, your next tour date, just to inform our listeners, is going to be on October 27th. That's Tuesday, October 27th at 12 o'clock noon. And that will be on, you'll be on KNJO, I apologize, and XRQK broadcasting stations and Airtime America, and about 15 or 20 other radio stations you'll be on as well. So we're looking forward to you picking the story back up. So you've taken us all the way to the point where you're now third mate and heading in another direction. So it'll be interesting to hear what happens next. So Captain Vantine, thank you so much for being on the program and all the hard work that you put into your book and sharing all of your stories. They are quite interesting. And so we look forward to hearing more of your career and your sea voyages and all the little life experiences that you have along the way. So we're looking very forward to that.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to our next program.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you have a great rest of your day. And just as a reminder to our listeners again, you can go to some-nautical-tales.com, and you can also go to internationalradiotours.org. Both have information and links for Captain Vantine and for Some Nautical Tales. This is Lady Selah Tsujuris, and I'm signing off for the day, and we will see you again on the program in October. Good night, or good afternoon, Captain Vantine.
Good afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you.
International Radio Tours broadcasting program is managed and directed through Storytellers Campfire Radio. To learn more, visit online at internationalradiotours.org.